So today I want to talk about how Diablo 4 actually discourages the fastest leveling process. Now, does this mean that you shouldn't do it if you want to do it? No, by any means, do whatever you want to do. But the actual systems in place reinforce a more spread out and actual progression of your overall account rather than just your level. A couple things to go over before we dive into how Diablo 4 discourages the fastest leveling, because I've seen a lot of people sort of just talk about how all these different changes that might be coming out, or whatever this, whatever that, the meta strategy will still prevail and people will be leveling as fast as possible. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that the people that are going to go for that fastest leveling process are generally people that want to obviously get to the end game, get to the stronger builds, and actually play like more hardcore. And due to the Renown system and the locking of difficulties, you have to play a certain way that Blizzard has designed. Now, does this mean that you should do that if you don't want to? No. Play however you want. I personally could not care less. Does that mean that I'm not going to make videos about faster ways to level or whatever most efficient way? No, I'm going to do it all because obviously people want to see that and I enjoy making those videos. But for me, the one place I would recommend, or the strategy that I would generally recommend as we get closer to launch, or potentially even in the beta if you guys don't have a lot of time, is to just play out the game and go through the Renown system and the campaign system, because 90% of the game is locked behind those systems. For example, let's talk campaign. This is the number one thing everyone should be doing if you want access to the rest of the game. Regardless of fastest leveling processes, you can't even benefit from faster leveling because you won't be able to get access to higher level tiered gear and some of the uniques, etc., without accessing the higher world tiers. And without doing the campaign, as you guys can see here, you cannot access the higher campaign levels, that world tier 3 and the world tier 4. So you're basically locked out of nightmare dungeons, nightmare sigils, helltide zones, anything else that might be grinding for more of that end game gear or just end game leveling processes. In fact, going through the campaign in the long term might actually end up being a faster leveling process due to the fact that you actually get access to the higher world tiers and the other content in the game. Like I mentioned, nightmare dungeons, nightmare sigils, farming those, and the open world events that only are accessible when you do reach the world tier 3. So the number one focus should be campaign, and this isn't even to include the fact that we're going to be getting our mount through the campaign. Keep in mind that almost everything requires some sort of traveling distance in this game. Even the teleporting doesn't necessarily teleport you straight to the dungeons. There's oftentimes a walking distance between dungeons, between events, and just overall traversing the area. And as we saw earlier this week, as another confirmation, this is not the first time, and additionally they kind of dropped a few of the different mount skins. We're going to be getting our mount earlier on into the campaign, and so without actually doing the campaign, you're not going to get access to the mount, supposedly based on their comments. So campaign is going to unlock your mount, it's going to unlock your world tier difficulties, it's going to unlock more different content, it's going to unlock better loot. All these things make campaign necessary. Now granted, the campaign only takes you to around level 50 supposedly, because that is about when you finish all the different acts and you finish all the quests. Supposedly you're going to reach around that world tier 3 difficulty level and you should be able to move on to anything else, right? Not necessarily. Now I already mentioned that we will supposedly arrive around that level 40, level 50 mark at the end of campaign. However, as shown here by this screenshot, it's of the Renown system in the first map that we saw in the beta. The first 3 levels, which there's 5 levels here, require a certain amount of Renown to unlock 2 bonus skill points and a potion charge. Keep in mind that anything that I'm mentioning here is pertaining to your first character. So anytime we talk about, hey, the fastest leveling process, this really counts for the first character. After you make that first character, then things like the fastest leveling process actually start to, kind of intertwine with your gameplay, because you will have access to your skill points, your paragon points, your skip campaign option, and all of those things allow you to skip to world tier 3 quicker, as well as going through and getting a more solid build and not having you basically go through and do the whole Renown system yet again, because they're actually account bound rather than character bound. But as you can see from the first 3 world tiers, or the first 3 little nodes here, you could get those without getting into world tier 3. So a really, really good strategy in terms of being able to pick up as much progression as possible, because you bet these skill points are going to be included into end game builds, is to actually pick up some of the Renown system while going through and doing the campaign. This isn't even including things like Altars of Lilith here, which you could see in the bottom right hand corner, which give you Renown. So they're really, really nice to help you progress your Renown system, but also give you permanent attributes, which again will help you min-max your build at the end. And you might consider, oh, well, I don't need to do any of this. I can just fastest level and get to that point. Well, the whole point of fastest leveling is to kind of get to that end game process quicker. So you can't do that unless you go to the campaign and finish that. And even if you are, most of the time, the fastest leveling people are the people that want to min-max, want to play hardcore. And in fact, in doing so, you're actually missing out on a ton of skill points and a ton of other options. And this isn't even including world tier 3 Renown points, which you can see in these bottom or the right hand side, those 2 nodes there, which include the max obols, which arguably isn't really that important. It will help you save some time, but that's not really that important. The other important one is the Paragon points, +4 Paragon points, which is massive. Now, in totality, we should be getting roughly 20 Paragon points, along with, assuming there's going to be 2 skill points per map, 10 skill points. So that's almost a 10th of our skill points, along with a 10th of our Paragon points. That is a big increase in terms of progression of your character, right? When we get to the end game. So keep in mind, total is like 200 Paragon points, assuming we're just getting them from levels. The extra 4 per map is another 20, so that's like a 10% increase over the levels. And that requires you to beat campaign first. So the ideal strategy here, from what we can see, is to actually be able to go through the maps, pick up your Renown while beating the campaign, get your skill points, and then as soon as you beat the campaign, head back to those previous maps and start doing potentially nightmare dungeons or whatever you want to do, allowing you to get the Renown for those world tier 3 Renown nodes and get your max Paragon points along with your skill points. This is a really interesting system. I enjoy the idea of including map completion in terms of something that you're going to want to have to do. I should say want to do if you want to max out your character. You don't have to do anything. If you don't find it fun, no problem. Keep in mind that getting to level 100 is going to take around 150 hours. So any sort of conversation about fastest leveling, any conversation about maxing out the Renown system, these types of things are not for your average player anyways. They're going to be for your more hardcore players, although the 150 hour estimate is based on Blizzard, and who knows if we can get much faster. I am almost certain that we can get much faster than that. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section down below though, and I'll see you all for the next one.